Hi, everyone. Welcome in. It's going to give everyone a moment to join. We'll start promptly.
Sounds good.
Hi, welcome. Yes, recordings will be available after the webinar. They'll be uploaded and sent out to all the attendees if you registered. No worries. All right, we can get started and have everyone keep filtering in as we go. So welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us this evening for the second installment of our college essay webinar series. We've got an exciting topic planned for tonight, our Write workshops, which will be starting this July, and how these workshops can help your student get a strong and effective head start on their college essays. So today I'm joined by Kira and Sagrika, who will be walking us through all of this. If you would like to introduce yourselves, how about Kira first, then Sagrika?
Absolutely. Hey, everyone. My name is Kira. I'm a college essay specialist and curriculum developer here at Illumin, and I will be hosting these Write workshops. We're really excited to launch this series next month to get you all off and running on your college apps, and we're glad you're here today. Nice to see you all.
Hi, my name is Sagrika. I use she, they pronouns. I am an essay specialist at Illumin, and I've been working at Illumin and helping people with their essays for a year and a half now. And I also helped develop the curriculum for Write, so I'm really excited to share what we have planned with you all.
Okay, let's get started. So looking at our agenda, today we're going to go over some ways that seniors, you can give yourselves a head start on your essays this summer, including Writes. We'll give you the goal of our workshops, what they are, and how you can take this time to make some serious progress with your essays. And hopefully so that we can get a better understanding of what all of these different schools are looking for and why. Then we will end today looking at a sample student to show you how you can get the most out of Write, with a bonus essay critique, and finally a Q&A for how you can sign up. So the Write workshops are designed for two different kinds of students, or students in two different stages of the writing process. That includes those of us who are just getting started. If you're wondering what even is a supplemental essay, why are you calling that? It's June. Then this is the right place for you to get started with your brainstorming and to get familiar with all the different types of prompts from the very beginning. We also design the workshops, though, for those of us who feel fairly comfortable, confident with your writing, most of the essays that you'll be working on this season, but maybe one or two schools, one or two prompts are giving you grief. So the bottom line is, if you're a senior looking for help with your essays this season, then you're in the right place.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about how you can give yourself a head start, either by yourself or with Illumin. So first of all, the biggest thing you can do to get started is to get organized and start making lists. Lists of all the schools you'll be applying to, lists of the majors and minors associated with those schools that you're going to apply to, all the dates you want to keep track of for every deadline, and what essays you'll need to write. You can do all of this on one major spreadsheet with everything on it. And another important thing to include is what platform you'll be submitting the application on. The next thing you could do to get ahead is research each of your schools. And this is important not only so you write strong essays for the school, but also so you're confident for yourself that you're going to a school that is the right fit for you. So that's always an important aspect. And that might just be Googling the school and looking at its website, looking at certain social media pages to see what they have posted on there. And the last thing you want to do is start getting familiar with the college application essay as a genre. It is very different from academic essays. And for a lot of us, it's our first time writing this style of essay, and it's important to understand how it's supposed to be written. And that's where Illumin can help, either with one-on-one specialized help or by joining those write workshops.
So, question of the day, what are the write workshops and how are they formatted? So each week on Zoom throughout this webinar series, we're going to host a lecture style webinar and a workshop focusing on one specific type of college essay prompt. So for example, we'll take a look at those Why Us essays, which are those essays that are asking students why they think they're a good fit for their school or their major. We'll look into those essays, maybe you've seen them already, that ask how you will contribute to your school's diverse community. We'll even break down the activity list descriptions, which are a huge part of your Common App and your UC applications. So along with some strategies, tips, and tricks during the webinar, we will also read and analyze some sample student essays from popular colleges to contextualize what successful essays or what strong essays might look like for you. After that webinar, we will transition into a 2-hour work session where you can get started immediately applying everything that you just learned to your own prompts, essays, and schools. Each workshop is going to be staffed by specialists from our wonderful essay specialist team so that you can work one-on-one to get personalized feedback on your ideas and your drafts. That way, you are walking away not only with all of the knowledge from the webinar and everything you worked on in your 2 hours, but also written feedback that can help you take your next steps and apply to even additional schools that might fit that topic.
Okay, so what will you bring home at the end of each workshop? First of all, you'll have brought significant progress on essay drafts. So we're not only giving you content and teaching you the best strategies for writing these essays, but we're also giving you time to work on the drafts. So you'll be coming back with some tangible work that you've done on any essay, maybe multiple essays. You'll also take home worksheets that you can use for the brainstorming, outlining, or even revising portion of working on those essays. So even if you come in with absolutely nothing, not even an idea of what you're going to write, you can leave with some ideas and maybe even an outline. You'll also get written feedback from your assigned essay specialist. So you'll be able to keep that and maybe even apply it to other essays as needed. And you'll be receiving a copy of the slides that we go through so you can refer back to them for other essays that you write. So the write workshops are going to be on Saturday afternoons from 1 to 3:30 p.m. and they start in mid-July and go until October. So when you sign up, you'll be getting an invite in the mail ahead of time. So you can click on that link. And after we go through 9 unique topics, our second round is going to cycle back to some of the most critical topics, which includes how to do your personal statement and PIQs. And then we have some deadlines on the back that kind of correlate with our schedule.
Yes, we are especially excited about those worksheets that Sagrika just mentioned. We are trying to give you tools and resources, things that you can sort of work on, bring home and apply to as many of your essays that possibly fit into these themes. We get to focus on a different topic each week because, you know, there's a lot of similar prompts and things that these colleges are asking from you, and we want to help you be as efficient and thorough with your time as possible. So now that we have introduced you to the write workshops, we want to walk through and show you how you could get the most out of Write Yourself. So for today, we will say meet Amelia, our sample student for today. Like most of you, Amelia is a rising senior. She's danced ballet for most of her life. After taking AP Psych in her junior year, she's decided that she wants to major in psychology. She's also the president of the environmental club at her school and likes to hike with her dogs. And her dream unit school is Chapman University. So today, Sagrika is about to walk us through all of the different prompts that are required by Chapman for new students applying.
So this slide lists all of the prompts. So first of all, we have the personal statement, which you'll be submitting to any school that you apply to via the Common Application platform. And after that, the rest are supplemental essays that are specific to Chapman. So Chapman asks, out of the thousands of universities and colleges, why are you interested in attending Chapman? So that's like a YS essay. They also have a please tell us about your interest in the major you selected. And then the last one is you get to choose between two prompts. So either you could do it on personal values, where you would talk about a personal value, experience, or lesson that has shaped your identity, behavior, aspirations, or commitment to a sense of belonging, and talk about how it developed and or changed over time, and how would it add to the diverse and welcoming fabric of our campus community. Or you could talk about personal growth, which is part of the Chapman experience, is to help students evolve their perspectives. What types of personal growth do you hope to explore at Chapman, and how can Chapman help in your growth? So these are all the essays that Amelia is going to have to do for her Chapman application. Okay, and Chapman also has these fast facts, which are really, really short answers. So like it says, you answer them in one word, phrase, or sentence. So it's really, really short. And some of those questions are, what is your dream job? What are 3 words to describe yourselves? What song should we be listening to while reading your application? Name a dish you want to cook for the admissions team. What makes you happy? What is something you've always wanted to learn, but you never had the chance to? What are the best words of advice you've received?
Perfect. Okay, so we are Amelia. Let's take a look at which workshops are best suited to help the student with each of her essays. Okay, so on the left, we see the prompts that are required by Chapman, and on the right, workshops that would be applicable to breaking down that essay and figuring out how to build a strong essay. So we have the Common App personal statement. We're going to hold 2 different workshops, both covering how to build that 650-word essay, one in July and one in September. For the school-specific Why Major essay, we've got a workshop in July and another one in October about doing the research and figuring out how to approach essays like that, which is also going to be our sample in just a minute. For that Why Major essay, we've got a workshop in early September focusing on STEM and how to write about your major creatively, which is totally applicable for our psych student. That list of fast fact questions, we've got a workshop in August and one in October about how to pack as much story into the smallest character counts possible. So that's our short answers. And then for that last tricky question with the choice between discussing a personal value or personal growth, we've got a workshop that I'm particularly looking forward to in August, which is how to write authentically about diversity, identity, and community. So taking a look at these 5 radically different types of prompts, all for just one school, by attending workshops that can help Amelia build her strong essays to match each of these specific prompts, she can feel perfectly prepared to apply to her dream school, that is the goal of the series.
Okay, and now we have some potential topics that she could, or potential experiences that she could use to write her essays. Something that I want to note is that when writing these essays, you want to make sure that each is showing a different side of yourself, and you're not being repetitive. For example, if her Common App essay is about ballet, then she probably doesn't want to talk about ballet in one of her supplemental essays because they're going to see both, and you want to take every opportunity you can to share more about yourself in these essays. So some potential topics are, for the Why Us essay, she can talk about how Chapman has the resources for her to study psychology and how she's interested in research, which makes Chapman a great school as it's a research university. She can also talk about how she's president of the environmental club, which makes her really excited to participate in all the environmental initiatives going on at Chapman. For the why major, she can mention that she took AP psychology, and that's what got her interested into majoring in psychology, and that she wants to apply psychology to other fields such as forensics or child development while she's at Chapman. One thing that's good about that one is she says why she's interested, and then she says what she wants to do with it. So there's a reference to the origin and a reference to the future of how she's going to apply that. If she chooses the personal values prompt, she could talk about ballet, which is something she's been committed to for 11, 12 years. So it has definitely shaped her identity in some way. And so I think that would be a great topic to talk about for that prompt. Or if she wants to do the personal growth, she could talk about wanting to study abroad and that being an opportunity of how she wants to grow and learn at Chapman by experiencing a different culture and being able to live in a different part of the world. Okay, so now we have our sample essay. I'm just going to read the whole thing out loud. So this is for the Why Us essay. I'll read the prompt again. Out of the thousands of universities and colleges, what excites you about attending Chapman University specifically? And Amelia wrote, the community at Chapman is alive and dedicated to supporting all students. The Korean College of Health and Behavioral Science at Chapman University has all the resources I need to study psychology. Last year, I took AP psychology and found the relationship of sleep to wellness fascinating. Child development and forensic psychology are classes I would like to take at Chapman. One opportunity that intrigues me about studying psychology at Chapman is being able to design my own research studies. When I visited Chapman, I appreciated that the students I met were involved in the campus community. I was also inspired by the beauty of the campus. The Musco Center for the Arts is extraordinary with its modern open architecture. I have studied ballet for 11 years, so when I saw such a beautiful theater, I felt at home. Also, the stunning World Language Flag Memorial caught my interest, as studying abroad is a dream of mine. I would also love to spend a lot of time basking in the peacefulness of the meditation room. If I have a chance to attend Chapman, I will contribute to the community by joining many clubs, such as Chapman's Mission Environment Club. And now we're going to point out a strength and a weakness that we see in the essay. We'll have Kira go first.
Yes. So, and then just for a little more context too, before we look into, like Zachary said, our strengths and weaknesses, what we're doing right now is we're speed running a little bit of what your experience might look like in attending the workshops and getting feedback. For this sample student, this is, we sort of looked at what it might look like from the brainstorming stage. We have a student who knows their experiences and is trying to match them to our essays, right, in our last grid. And now we're sort of looking at, okay, what if this student is bringing a draft into the essay? What might feedback look like? When we said that we're hoping to be able to work with students in every stage of the path, we mean it. Whether you have a draft, whether you're just getting started, we're walking through what that might look like. Okay, so essay feedback. So a strength and a weakness. Taking a look at this essay, my favorite thing about it as a Why Us essay is that it is so specific to Chapman, right? This essay could not have been written about any other university. This was not a copy, paste, replace kind of deal. And a college is going to appreciate that, right? We call it demonstrated interest. We can see not only has the student done great research, either both on maybe online, looking up that website and sort of exploring the academic curriculum, what kind of classes they might take, but also referencing having taken a campus tour, right? They're pulling aspects, both part of everyday life about what it looks like to be a student and what their experience might look like in the classroom. So my favorite thing about this essay is the sheer amount of name dropping. Name dropping in a Why Us essay is the way to go, because it demonstrates that you know exactly what you're talking about. You're at a school or you're applying to a school where you feel confident in the reason why. So those are all great strengths. If I was going to give Amelia some feedback in terms of reaching a next draft, I would encourage Amelia to maybe take a second and think about how we can organize add more structure to this essay. Even though the great thing about it is that there is stuff from psychology to Musco to meditating and research, there's all this good stuff in here. But it's all in there together. Even something as small as like cutting this paragraph in half, giving the reader a little bit more guidance, I think would be something that's definitely something that I would suggest to Amelia in this essay.
Yeah, I totally agree with both of those points. And to add on to the strengths, I think another strength she has is that when she mentions her interest in something, for the most part, she connects it back to why she's interested in that. So she's not just listing things without giving any reason as to why it's important to her. So for example, she says she took AP psychology. She mentions a little bit about why she's interested in psychology. However, and I think that's really important to do that without distracting from the main idea. So you don't want your Why Us essay to turn into a resume of things you've done, because it's tempting to use every essay as an opportunity to share about yourself. But this essay is asking about why Chapman. So I like that she keeps coming back to that while connecting it to her own experience. However, I agree that it does need more structure, and also some things aren't super fleshed out. For example, she says that she would love to spend time in the meditation room, but it's unclear why, or if she has some experience meditating or what's going on there. So I think it's important when you're writing these essays to make sure that you're explaining why the things you're mentioning are important to you and significant to you. Because if they just see that you have a bunch of things you like about it without any reasoning why, they're like, okay, like it doesn't really tell them anything about why you like it. Even like the part where she says, I find the relationship of sleep to wellness fascinating. It would have been great if she found a class that was maybe more related to that, or like something to kind of connect everything together. So that with some more structure would really get this essay to the next level.
Okay, that was our speed run essay feedback on this draft for a YS essay. If you are wondering, how do you sign up for Write? Great question. You can follow this QR code to a page on our website where you can take a look at the full list of our essay topics, including ones that Sakuka and I talked about today and a ton of other ones too. You can search by those not only by which prompts are most relevant to you and your applications, but also by which schools you're applying to. So just like we looked at Chapman today, for every workshop, we will be featuring 3 popular colleges whose required essays fit perfectly into that week's topics. So if you see the school you're applying to on our list, come check it out. We're offering workshops individually and as a bundle with one of each of those unique workshops pulled together. And we're really excited to be able to have a round 1 and a round 2 of a couple of those essays repeated. So that way we can both scoop up students that are procrastinating and needing a little bit more help by the time we get to September. And if you are coming back to revise, right, we're focusing on both brainstorming, outlining, and revising. So if you found that you were outlining and drafting in a first workshop, and then you find that you have another essay or a school prompt that is in the same field, and you want to come back and try and workshop a couple of those too, we have a second workshop. So yeah, one last note, if you are looking for even more personalized or hands-on support beyond the right workshops, which is what we were talking about today, we do also offer one-on-one consulting in which you're paired with an Illumin essay specialist, which means that if after attending a right workshop, if you feel a good connection, a good vibe with your specialist that day and you want more of their help, you can also purchase hours to get direct support from them with the rest of that school or even the rest of your applications too, so that you can keep building on the relationship and your essays that you got started with that day. Okay. I think that's everything that we have for you today, which means that it's time for questions about anything that we might have talked about today, more curiosities. If there's a topic that you want to know if we're covering it, a school, let us know.
Yep, we definitely speed ran it today. Yeah, so if anyone has any questions, feel free to pop it in the Q&A. I'll give it a moment in case someone does want to submit them. If not, I'll just assume that you two explained it perfectly and there was no need for questions. But yeah, feel free. We've got time. If you've got questions, no worries. If not, also no worries. All right, we've got one. What would you say is the biggest difference between UC essays and non-UC essays?
That is a fabulous question. The biggest difference between the UC essays and non-UC essays, which might include your Common App essays or the regular supplemental essays that you're doing for some of those other schools, is honestly the way that the UCs themselves are approaching it. UC essays, our readers are moving fast. They just want your I mean, these schools are receiving so many applications from so many students, and that means that their approach is really fast. So the writing style that we write with to match that speed read is to give them data points. Answer the question as direct and straightforward as possible. It's kind of more of a brag than you might expect from, it's more of a brag than you might expect, right? They just want to know your accomplishments. On the other hand, our Common App essay, our supplemental essays are more focused on like who you are as a person, your personal growth and what your personality sort of looks like outside of the classroom. And so with the Common App, for example, showing vulnerability is a really great move because we can kind of get to know you as a person. In the UC applications, we sort of only show vulnerability when it's immediately connected to the problems that you solved, the things that you learned afterwards, blood in the water. So in that way, the UC applications are more, I would say they're more straightforward and more based on your accomplishments, and supplemental essays are more based on all the other stuff that you bring to the table as a fully functioning human being. Sagrika, what else would you add to that?
Yeah, you basically covered most of it. I would say just to summarize, the UC admissions people are looking for ways to advocate for you to convince others that you should be at their school. So they're just looking for some fast facts that they could be like, this person did this to serve their community, they did this to show leadership, they're interested in this major because they did this experience and took these classes, done. But the other essays, they're really looking to get to know you. And so that means that's why it's longer, and that is going to require more reflection. So like Kira mentioned, the PIQs are more straightforward.
I think another follow-up to this good question about UCs versus supplemental essays is that every UC campus that you apply to is going to get the same 4 essays, which means that you can't quite tailor them to just one campus unless you're only applying to one school. But even then, it's more of a general, what are your accomplishments as a student and why are you interested in your major? Whereas the supplemental essays, such as the great Chapman Why Us essay that we read today, it's all about research, right? You demonstrate interest in what you know about the school. The UCs, because they all get the same one, you can't tailor it quite as well. It's a good question.
We've got another good question about whether or not there's a difference between our workshops, our right workshops, and the boot camps that we have.
Yeah, I can talk about this. So we have these boot camps where they last about 4 hours for 4 days. So it's a 16-hour boot camp. And we go very in depth over not only PIQs, but also Common App and a little bit of other essays too. And it takes all the students from the brainstorming stage to the outlining to the draft stage. And it's very intensive, as you can imagine, it being 4 hours a day for multiple days. So that's very different from the right workshops, which are just 1 to 3:30 p.m., so 2.5 hours. And the right workshops, it's basically like similar content, but much shorter and only covering one topic. So depending on which one you sign up for, which workshop you sign up for, you'll be learning about a different topic, a different prompt to write about. So that's really the main difference.
All right. A lot of questions about how essays work, it looks like, which is might give them a good taste of what the right workshops might be like. Um, oh, actually, one more logistical question. How many colleges/colleges essays will be covered during these workshops? We have a whole host of lists, but I'll let you guys talk about that.
Yes, that's a great question. So for the specific list, I would also direct you to the website to find which schools are associated with which topic. We're going to cover probably one prompt each from 3 different schools for each workshop, and then sort of walk through a sample essay of a student who applied to that university, and so you can sort of see in action what that looks like, and we'll do a little analysis like we did today. But the worksheets are not built for one university. The worksheets that we have created as resources for the right workshops are more customizable. It's sort of almost every school is going to have, for example, a Y major essay. So with the lecture and with the worksheets, it would apply to more schools than just the 3 that we'll cover in webinar. Yeah, that was a great question.
Yes, for sure. Check out the website. You'll see there is a section on the Right Workshops link that just lists a bunch of the schools that they'll be covering from like Columbia, Purdue, Stanford, Penn. You can like look at which college is most interesting to you, see which workshop corresponds to that, scope out your options. All right. Questions about personal statements, so we can give them a taste of how that'll be. For personal statements, is it okay to write about different topics, or should you just keep to one? And also, what is the thought on needing a hook? Is a hook too gimmicky for an essay, etc.?
Yeah, so in terms of that first question, so it depends what you mean by topics, really. You want to make sure you're answering the prompt. You don't want to just write about a bunch of random things that don't really answer the prompt. But as long as it's answering the prompt, I think it's great to connect multiple experiences to that prompt to show a kind of journey, because it is 600 words. So there is space to talk about multiple experiences that you've had. You just want to keep them all under one theme, one big idea, one thesis that you're trying to tell and communicate to the colleges. So to kind of give a little example, it might look like you talking about how you did robotics in high school, and then over the summer, you also took a college class about robotics. So you kind of connect 2 experiences, but they're related, and they both show that that's how you built your interest in robotics or something like that. So you want to keep it on topic, but you definitely can have like multiple experiences in there. And then as for the hook, it can work. It's not, I would say it's not required, in my opinion. I don't know if Chira wants to say more.
I like the robotics example that you walked us through. Connecting a lot of different experiences under the same umbrella is a great strategy. For a hook, I would say for your if we're talking about the Common App personal statement, I would, not required, but I would really encourage. I would encourage a hook. I think that the Common App is a great place to sort of demonstrate your writing and your reflection skills. If you're somebody who is put a lot of time into other parts of your life that maybe weren't writing, that's okay. You've been thinking about it along the way too, and so we're not just demonstrating like literal creative writing skills, although that is part of critical thinking and that is part of the essay, but also just what insights have you picked up over the last 4 years? How have you experienced and demonstrated your values and your personal growth? So because all of those things are very storytelling based, if a hook is part of the way that you would write your story, bring in a hook. Unlike an English essay, you don't need a title. You don't need to have. I think that's one of the funnier things that we see students, get to learn, because you're doing this for the first time, right? Generally, you don't have to write an application essay until you're applying to something, which means that your stress is up to here when you're learning it all at once. But since it's different, we have different strategies, and it's looser than what you might have practiced before in English with writing an essay.
It's no 5-paragraph essay for sure.
No 5-paragraph essay for sure.
Okay. A question on, can you just get counseling one-on-one on reviewing the essays without going to workshops or boot camps? I believe the answer is yes. We have essay consulting services. Plenty of information of that also on our website. If you would like to look into that, it is under the services tag. I don't know if either of you have something to say about essay consulting.
Yeah, I mean, we're both essay specialists. So what we do is help students one-on-one on an hourly basis. So you can purchase a package of how many ever hours you want, and we will help you with in any stage of writing the essay. So if you're just looking for someone to look at a few of your essays, we can definitely do that. Just sign up. And if you want, you can even request someone if there's a specific person you're interested in.
You could
Yeah.
also attend. Oh, sorry. Go on, Kira.
Absolutely. That's a great question. Everything Sagrika and Anna said is true. That's the main thing that Sagrika and I do, is one-on-one consulting with students outside of additional things like boot camp or like write. So definitely available.
But yes, going off of what Sagrika said about requesting someone specifically, if you do attend the boot camps or the workshops and you find someone who is leading one of those that you attend and you really like them, then you can use that information and request through the essay consulting as well. All right, more questions about essays. When you review a student's essay, what are the first things you look at? Maybe some big weaknesses you tend to see that are commonplace, how you approach that.
Sagrika, do you want to start with this one?
Sure, I can. I just wanted to give you a chance. Yeah, I think it definitely varies based on the person. The first thing, so I'm gonna guess this is like a middle draft, not rough, not polished. One of the first things I look at is I make sure it answers the prompt. That is very important. And a lot of times you get so lost in the process of writing that you totally forget about the prompt and you just start going, which is great. But you want to come back to the prompt. The other thing is grammar / typos. Those are small things that you can fix, but sometimes you don't notice them, and that's why you get multiple pairs of eyes looking at your essays. So that's another one of the first things that I look at. And later on in the process, after I've talked to the student, I would probably look more into, okay, is the student being authentic? Is this the best story and experience for the student to use to talk about the topic or the prompt? And yeah, I mean, we can go on with a lot of different things that we look at, but I would say the big things are that I look at right away are they actually answering the prompt, and do they have any major syntax, grammar, spelling mistakes?
I'm so glad you said grammar because I think that is really important too. When you're brainstorming, just put everything that's possibly in your brain on that paper. A metaphor that we like to use, or I like to use, is that you're trying to carve a marble statue down, but that means you have to start from somewhere. You have to start with a big hunk of just plain old square marble and chip away. If you try to perfect every single word as you go, it will be very hard to build out from there, and you might be perfecting your first sentence that you will scrap when you get to figuring out what it is that you really want to write about. But that being said, totally, when we get further into the writing and you feel more comfortable with what you're talking about, taking some time to refresh on some grammar rules and our proper nouns and our run-on sentences it is important. No matter what you're studying, it's just another part of why separate from like test scores and GPA, these are important. They have a story, they are, but those are our numbers half. When we're getting to our essay half, we are also demonstrating more of our critical thinking and more of the way that we learn. And so sometimes mechanics are part of that.
Thank you. We have run out of questions. So if anyone has one last burning question, please send it in now. Otherwise, we will end this webinar early. Thank you all for coming. Oh, okay. One more question. Can a student attend one workshop, or is it a package that all workshops have to be attended?
Yep, that's a great question too. So they are individual. So if you find that you just really are so confused about where to start with, say, like that writing authentically about like diversity and what that means to you, and you just want to come to one workshop and try it out, you can just do one. But we're also packaging one unique, like one of each round as a bundle that I think will be at a discounted price altogether, in case you want to come and see all of them and get all of the different workshops and outlines for all of the different types of essays that we cover.
I think there's also a question in the chat, and it says, what is the biggest weakness in essays that you find often that you wish people would correct? I can answer that, and then Kira can answer too. For me, I would say there's two actually for me. The first one is like authenticity. I think sometimes students just write what they think the colleges want to hear, but it's not actually their story. And it comes through. Like you think like, oh, it's fine, you can get away with it, but like it comes through and they can tell like you are writing what you think we want to hear, but not what's actually true to you. That's a big one. And the other big one is talking about, and this doesn't apply as much to the PIQs, but it does a little bit, is talking about experiences without any reflection. Reflection is super, super key. So you can't just say that you did super cool thing without explaining why it was cool and what you got out of it, because that's an activity description, not an essay. So those are the two big things I see. Kira, I don't know if you want to add anything.
Those are great. I think that the wisdom about writing something that actually meant a lot to you versus like it's just the shiniest thing that you might have done, for example, or the thing that someone else, told you would look great on your resume. Yeah, it probably does. Great job. But if you're writing about it for a lot of words, you want to find something that is meaningful to you, which unfortunately is harder. So we have to take the time to brainstorm that. So that was good wisdom. I would say for the UCs in particular, I don't think it's not a mistake so much as just something that we would like caution against, right? If we don't know that the UC readers are reading it as fast as that, and that there is, and so it's best to sort of make it easy for them to find your data points. If we don't know about that, then sometimes, students might tend to focus a lot on exposition when they really should be getting their answer and getting out for the UCs. So that's for the UCs. And then just to end us off, I think I would say that the most yikes weakness that I've heard of is for some essays, it does make sense to borrow the same body of the essay across your different schools, right? Because if you have to write a Y major essay 10 times, the reason that you chose your major will be the same. It's just like the name of the major and what classes they have and why, like what that school does with it, that will change and is part of your research. If that's the case, you have to change the name of your school in every single paragraph. I had a student who we got real close to the end, and then they just took an essay that they spent a really long, good time working on for Cornell. Like they cared about it. They remembered to replace all their research except the last line of that paragraph to their like U Michigan essay. And that's why I'm a great fit for Cornell. And I was like, go back, go back, go back, go back. So I would say that that is probably one of the easiest to catch and biggest things that will cancel your application so fast. So I think that's a really great example to end on too, because we do want you to be able to use the body or the outline of, for example, of like a write workshop to use multiple times. But that doesn't mean that we are not meticulous and careful, right, kids, about what we're doing and crossing all of our T's and dotting all of our I's. So yeah.
It's always that small thing, that small detail that gets you. All right. So just to reiterate, we will be sending out, this webinar has been recorded. We will be sending out the recording to everyone who attended. It will also be on our YouTube channel. So don't worry if you missed it, or if you just want to like look back, see some of it again, you forgot something, it will be available to you. Also, please do check out the website. There is plenty of information there as well. And we hope to see you at the workshops. So thank you so much for coming, everyone. Thank you. Thank you.